Look at him go, Jeremiah Smith.
Jeremiah Smith has dominated college football since stepping onto the field.
Play fake, the throw on the slant is a strike to Jeremiah Smith.
A freshman, he's widely regarded as one of the best receivers in the game. But what if I told you Jeremiah Smith got cut from his football team at 7 years old?
I never knew kids could get cut off a team till that day.
So how did Smith transform into such an elite athlete and take over college football? Jeremiah Smith's journey began in Hollywood, Florida, a hotbed for some of the nation's best athletes. Born on November 29, 2005, Smith grew up in Miami Gardens, and from the time he was 4 years old, he had a football in his hands. And at 7 years old, when he tried out for his youth football team, he didn't make it. But that moment fueled a fire inside of him. Smith even said, "I was just a whole different type of person from that day forward. It just made a kid more hungry, that's all I can say." In the following year, as an 8-year-old, Jeremiah not only made the team, but he dominated the entire league by outworking everyone. Now, Smith was training every day, guided by his father and cousin, also NFL quarterback Geno Smith. He and a group of young athletes gathered under a scorching Florida sun for grueling hill sprints, plyometrics, and resistance training. At the same time, he was sharpening his football IQ, studying coverages, and learning to recognize defensive schemes. And his trainer quickly noticed Smith's obsession with perfecting his craft. Whatever concept I gave him, he was almost OCD about mastering it. He also stated, "I've worked with lots of Division I athletes, but no one has picked up concepts as quickly as him." And Smith's hard work started to pay off. In one of his 7-on-7 tournaments as a member of the Miami Garden Ravens, he delivered a jaw-dropping moment, leaping over multiple defenders to snag a one-handed catch in the back of the end zone. Even his coach was in disbelief. He stated, and I quote, "We could not believe that someone so young could do that." What made this even more impressive was that the Miami Garden Ravens were a powerhouse in youth football, producing over a dozen Division I athletes, many of whom became 4- and 5-star recruits. So even among that elite group, Smith stood out, not just known for his speed, sure hands, and precise routes, but because of his quiet, business-like approach to the game. His father, Chris Smith, played a crucial role in shaping this mindset. Whether it was at the park, the field, or the gym, he spent countless hours pushing Jeremiah to be great. That foundation of discipline and relentless work ethic helped transform Smith into an elite prospect before he even hit his growth spurt, eventually becoming a 6'3", 215-pound athletic freak. Smith continued his rise at Chaminade-Madonna College Preparatory School, where he developed into one of the most dominant receivers in high school football. As a sophomore, he recorded 31 receptions for 667 yards and 7 touchdowns. A solid start, but just a glimpse of what was to come. The following season, Smith made a massive leap, hauling in 58 catches for 1,703 yards and an astounding 20 touchdowns. His dedication and relentless training was paying off, not just on the football field, but on the track as well. During his junior year, he showcased his elite athleticism by winning the Florida 2A state championship in both the 110-meter and 400-meter hurdles. And by his senior year, he became the highest-ranked receiver recruit in the modern recruiting era. His dominance even earned him the prestigious 2024 All-American Bowl Player Award. This is an award that had been previously won from stars like Adrian Peterson, Trevor Lawrence, and Bryce Young. When it came time to choose a college, Smith had offers from every top program, including Florida, Florida State, Georgia, Miami, and USC. But in the end, he committed to Ohio State, joining a long lineage of elite Buckeye receivers like Marvin Harrison Jr., Garrett Wilson, and Michael Thomas, setting the stage for what many believed would be a legendary college career. Ryan Day couldn't have been more excited to bring on this generational talent. And it did not take long for Jeremiah Smith to make an impact at Ohio State. In his college debut against Akron, he exploded onto the scene with 6 receptions for 92 yards and 2 touchdowns, leading the team in yardage in a dominant 52-6 win. Smith's work ethic and leadership quickly set him apart. He became the first freshman to earn the prestigious Iron Bucky Award, an award given to the players who demonstrate unquestionable training, dedication, determination, discipline, toughness, and leadership during the offseason. He had drawn comparisons to Julio Jones and was in a constant battle with fellow freshman Ryan Williams, Alabama's star receiver. Both had standout seasons, but Jeremiah ultimately rose to the top, helping Ohio State secure a spot in the college football playoffs. And his breakout performances continued throughout the season. He was named Big Ten Freshman of the Week after torching Michigan State for 102 yards and 2 touchdowns on just 6 touches. Then in the college football playoff quarterfinals against Tennessee, Smith delivered another standout performance, hauling in 6 catches for 103 yards and 2 touchdowns. But in the following game, Smith delivered one of the best performances on one of the biggest college stages, facing #1 Oregon in a classic Rose Bowl matchup. Once a staple before the Pac-12 merged with the Big Ten, he torched the Ducks defense, hauling in 7 receptions for 187 yards and 2 touchdowns in a dominant 41-21 victory. Smith entered the following matchup on fire, coming off 2 dominant performances in the 2024 college football playoffs, where he racked up 13 catches for 290 yards and 4 touchdowns in wins over Tennessee and Oregon. However, Texas's defense shut him down in Dallas, limiting him to just 1 catch for 3 yards. While the Ohio State Buckeyes celebrated a hard-fought victory over Texas in the Cotton Bowl, many fans left concerned about this freshman standout because of his lack of production. The defensive coordinator of Texas, Pete Kwiatkowski, did a fantastic job of covering Smith using a scheme that allowed his defense to virtually double or triple team Smith. The Texas secondary summed it up best, stating, "There is no way he's actually 18. He is a dog." This just shows how dominant Jeremiah Smith is and how much of a threat he is to any defense. Despite the win, getting double and triple team frustrated Smith, but he trusted that the coaches and the team would get the job done, which led to a 28-14 win over the Longhorns, winning the game in remarkable fashion as defensive lineman Jack Sawyer stripped the ball from Texas quarterback Quinn Ewers and returned it to the house for an 83-yard touchdown. This highlights his leadership and humility, showing that he's willing to sacrifice personal stats if it means securing a win for the team. So by season's end, Smith had put together a historic freshman campaign with 70 receptions, over 1,200 yards, and 15 total touchdowns, ranking 7th among all college receivers. His performance had NFL scouts and analysts buzzing. ESPN writers were saying Smith would easily be the #1 pick in this year's draft, if he were eligible. Even former Ohio State quarterback Cardale Jones suggested Smith should consider playing just 1 more season before preparing for the NFL rather than risking injury. Oregon head coach Dan Lanning put it plainly after the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, he's strong. He attacks the ball in the air as well as any receiver I've seen. I mean, the guy's NFL ready. He's that talented. He's very special.
Jeremiah Smith's freshman season at Ohio State has already drawn comparisons to several Buckeye greats, each of whom made their own mark early in their careers. Michael Thomas, for example, developed into a star, but had nowhere near the impact as a freshman, recording just 3 receptions in 11 games. His production grew gradually with a breakout sophomore season that set the stage for his career. Even then, his 800-yard campaign in 2014 doesn't come close to the dominant season Smith just put together. But Garrett Wilson was more explosive from the start, posting 30 catches for 432 yards and 5 touchdowns as a freshman. But for context, Smith shattered those numbers, finishing with over 1,200 yards in his first year. Then there's Marvin Harrison Jr., who put up similar stats to Smith, but as a sophomore. As a freshman, he saw limited playing time before eventually becoming the 4th overall pick in the 2024 NFL Draft. While each of these receivers played in different systems with varying roles, Smith's ability to dominate in big games as a freshman puts him in a trajectory that could rival or even surpass these Ohio State legends. From getting cut from his football team at just 7 years old to overcoming every obstacle in his path, Jeremiah Smith has proven that he's built differently. He didn't just rise above adversity, he embraced it, using every setback as fuel to become the #1 receiver in the country. And if you're still doubting him, especially after this season, that's probably exactly what he wants. Because every time someone counts him out, he's found a way to prove them wrong. And at this rate, he's just getting started.